Hello and welcome back, future scientists. I'm Mr. K with Mississippi Public Broadcasting, and I have another short lesson today about meiosis. So we've gone through meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. We've made our gametes, but what happens then? When we make our gametes, what's the next step? That's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so we're talking about a process called fertilization, and this is when your gametes come together or combine. So let's go ahead and hop into it and see what's going on today. Okay, so let's look at these two cells. Over here I have a cell that has 46 chromosomes. Here I have a cell that has 23 chromosomes. I want us to think of some words that we can use to describe either one of these cells. Okay, well over here this cell has 46 chromosomes. That's the full amount of chromosomes we have in most of our cells. What are some words we can use to describe this cell? One that would be really good is somatic. Okay, a somatic cell is basically every cell in your body that's not an egg or a sperm. Okay, we would call somatic is actually another word for body. So somatic cells are body cells. Your body are mostly like this. The cells that make up your body all have 46 chromosomes. Okay, another word for this is diploid. Okay, this prefix di means two, and so what's happening here is that there are 23 pairs of chromosomes, and because they're paired, we have 46 total. So these are words that we would use to describe this type of cell. Okay, over here, this is a cell with 23 chromosomes. What are some words that we would use to describe this type of cell? Well, remember that through meiosis, we make these type of cells, and one word that we can use is gamete. Okay, gametes are your reproductive cells. Okay, so your reproductive cells in men, it's sperm, and in women, it's egg. Okay, so eggs. So gametes are just another word for sperm and egg cells. Some other words that we would use to describe this would be haploid. And to me, if you look at the word haploid, if I replace that P with an F, it would have the word half in it. That's how I remember this. Haploid cells have half the number of chromosomes. And again, only your sex cells are like this. So egg and sperm are like this. No other cells are like that. Okay, so why are your sperm and egg cells like that? Why do they have less chromosomes than they're supposed to? Why do we bother cutting the number of chromosomes in half? Well, the reason here is that so when the egg and the sperm come together, that is called fertilization, the normal chromosome number is restored in the organism. So again, you're getting 23, half of your genetic material, half of your chromosomes come from your mom, from her egg, and then half of your chromosomes are coming from dad. 23 are coming from dad. So 23 and 23. When they come together, the sperm fertilizes the egg. That's going to make something called a zygote, and now that zygote has 46 cells. This is you. This is when you're first made in your mother's womb. It's called a zygote. You're a single cell large, but now you have 46 chromosomes, and basically every cell in your body is just copying this one over and over and over again. Okay, so that's why we're going through this whole meiosis and PMAT1, PMAT2. We have to divide the number of chromosomes in half so that when we fertilize, we have the correct number of chromosomes. If we did not cut the number of chromosomes in half, 46 and 46, you'd have way too many chromosomes, right? You'd have too many. You wouldn't be able to function properly. So we have to divide the number of chromosomes in half so that when they fertilize, now we have the full set of 46 like we're supposed to. Okay, and I just wanted to show you a quick picture of this process, fertilization. Some things to kind of point out here. So this is sperm surrounding an egg. Some things I kind of wanted to point out is, like, notice how much bigger the egg is compared to the sperm cells. The sperm cells are kind of small compared to this egg cell, okay? When we go through that whole meiosis process, in women, that only results in one functioning egg. You have one egg and three what are called polar bodies, which are like eggs that aren't really functioning properly. And then we have all of these, in men, however, through meiosis, you get 4 sperm cells. So to me, it kind of makes sense that the egg cell would be so much bigger than the sperm cells. Men are constantly making sperm cells, and with women, it's a little bit different. You're actually born with all the eggs that you're ever going to have. So women aren't constantly making new egg cells like men are, okay? There's also a misconception about fertilization. A lot of people think that the first sperm that gets to the egg cell is the one that fertilizes it. That's not really accurate at all. It can be the first one, but often it's not. The first sperm that gets there sometimes like activates the egg, but won't fertilize it completely, okay? So I just kind of wanted to go over that with y'all. I know that lecture was really short, but I do have some review questions on some vocabulary terms I want to do with y'all. So teacher, if you could, why don't you go ahead, pass out that worksheet. It's like a 15 question matching section. Go ahead and pass that out. Y'all take 10 minutes to work on that, and when you're ready for the review, y'all can come back to me, unpause the video, and I'll kind of go over it with y'all. So go ahead and get that passed out to everybody, and then when y'all are ready, come back to me and I'll review it with y'all. Thank y'all so much. I know that didn't give y'all any problem, but just in case it did, I'm going to go over it with y'all. So let's see what everybody came up with, and we'll go ahead and get the ball rolling on this one. All right, so number 1 says, a variant form of a gene that occupies a specific position on a chromosome. Okay, so what's this one going to be? Another way to say this is like, it's different flavors of the same gene. So for example, you have a gene for hair color. This could be the red version of hair, or the brown version of hair, or the black version of hair. What's that called? Those are called alleles, okay? And so for this one, I want to put the letter H. Alleles are variant forms of a gene, okay? So an allele could be like green eyes versus blue eyes, right? It's the same genetic information, they're just different flavors or variations of the same thing. All right, number 2 says the male reproductive cell or gamete. So in men, what is the name of our reproductive cell? Well, that's called a sperm, right? So for this one, we should go with letter B. Okay, sperm cells are sex cells in men. All right, number 3 says a reproductive cell such as a sperm or egg that carries half the genetic information of an organism. So this is kind of asking for a different name. We have sperm or egg in the question, but what's another name that would describe that? So for number 3, to me, I think we want to go with letter C here, okay? And letter C is gamete, okay? Remember, a gamete is just another word for an egg or a sperm cell or a sex cell. All right, let's look at number 4. 4 says the specific location of a gene on a chromosome, okay? The specific location of a gene on a chromosome. What is that called? Okay, so for number 4, I think we should go with letter D. And letter D is gene locus, okay? So locus, it kind of sounds like location, okay? So the location of a gene is known as its locus. Where is it on the chromosome? Okay, 5. Number 5 says the process of producing egg cells in females. So egg cells, when we make them through the process of meiosis, it kind of gets a specific name. I talked about this in the first lesson. You might remember that this one is called oogenesis, to generate egg cells. So for this one, I think we should go with the letter I. Let's make sure I is oogenesis. I is oogenesis, great. Okay, let's keep it going here. So I'll pick up with 6. Okay, so 6 says the process of producing sperm cells in men. So just like oogenesis is making egg cells, what is it called when we make sperm cells? That's called spermatogenesis. Okay, spermatogenesis for this one. So let's go with letter J is spermatogenesis. Okay, the next one, 7, the female reproductive cell or gamete. So in men we have sperm, and women we have a reproductive cell called an egg. So for this one, let's go with letter K for egg on that one. All right, let's keep it going. 8 says the exchange of genetic material between homologous chromosomes during meiosis leading to genetic variation. So what do we call it when we kind of scramble up the genetic material in between those homologous chromosomes? You get a little bit from each one. The pictures that I've been showing you will show you like a red and a blue chromosome, and then when they do this thing, you get a little bit of each color on each chromosome. What is that called? You might remember that that's called crossing over, okay? So for this one, let's go with letter N for crossing over. Okay, let's keep it going. 9, this 9 says refers to all body cells, excluding reproductive cells. So what do we call cells that make up your body? What are those called? Okay, so for number 9, let's go with M. And M is somatic. So somatic cells, body cells, those are cells that make up your body that are not sperm or egg cells. Okay, let's keep it going. 10. This says, the first cell of a new organism formed by the union of an egg and sperm cell. So what is it called when the first cell of a new organism, this is after fertilization, what's that cell called for number 10? Let's go with A. This is a zygote. Y'all might remember that a zygote is a one-cell large organism and occurs immediately after fertilization. All right, 11 says the process where an egg and sperm combine to form a zygote. So this is what I was just talking about. Let's go with O for this one. And this is that fertilization process. Okay, so egg and sperm come together. That's called fertilization. When they fertilize, that's how you get a zygote. Okay. All right, y'all are doing great. We just got a couple more, so y'all hang in there with me. 12 says, a structure formed during meiosis consisting of a pair of homologous chromosomes, each made up of 2 sister chromatids. So for 12, I have G. G is a tetrad. Something I didn't mention earlier, this prefix tetra means 4. And so when those 2, this is kind of what homologous chromosomes look like. It's 2 X's right next to each other. So this is a this is a chromosome, this is a chromosome. Okay, when they come together, them coming together like this, okay, is known as a tetrad. And the reason they're called a tetrad is that there's 4 sister chromatids. This is a sister chromatid, and so you have 4 sister chromatids total, and so that's why it's called a tetrad here, okay? All right, y'all are doing great. Couple more here. So 13, the process during meiosis where homologous chromosomes pair up and connect with each other. For 13, I have L, and L is synapsis. So making this tetrad is called synapsis, okay? 14 says, describes a cell that contains 1 set of chromosomes or half the total number of chromosomes of a chromosome in an organism. So this is that term haploid that we've been using so much. So letter F, again, your egg and sperm cells are haploid because they only have half the number of chromosomes that they're supposed to. And then 15, this says, describes a cell that contains 2 sets of chromosomes, 1 from each parent. This is the opposite of haploid. Instead of haploid, we're going to use letter E, which is diploid. Okay, so y'all, those are some vocabulary words that I thought would be helpful to review with y'all. Thank y'all so much for working so hard. Your teacher has some other assignments. Give those your best effort, and I hope everybody has a great day.